Hey, Kent.
What's up, David?
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Welcome to the Dudes in Kansas show with your hosts,
Kent
and David. It's a pleasure to have you here, and this is part 2 of our 3-part pleasantries, manners, and WTF. Okay. So with that, let's get started. Yeah.
Very nice. I love it. Okay. So I'm sure everyone in our audience, or even you, David, has witnessed some type of bad manners in our time. I mean, I look at my kids and they're just oozing bad manners, and it's our job.
Yeah, to set them straight and get them to understand when they can do what and what they can do when.
Exactly. I mean, just yesterday, I was having dinner with my son. We're eating a salad, right? Because my lovely wife is trying to eat, give us healthy meals. And he's got this piece of chicken in there, and he's holding this fork, and he's stabbing it, right? He's just stabbing
Repeatedly stabbing it?
And well, not just repeatedly stabbing. We're not talking like, Freddy Krueger or anything here. We're just talking, he's holding this fork like, like it's a knife, and he's stabbing it, and he's just...
Yeah, eating it underhanded.
Yeah, exactly.
Like caveman style.
Caveman. That's it. So we are trying to tell him, no, that's not how we do it, buddy. We hold it with our fingers.
Yeah.
Go.
Got to do a little bit at a time. You got to be here. You're not ham-fisting it. You got to be delicate.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So that's one example of bad manners.
Mm-hmm.
But so I decided I wanted to look up what's a lot of bad manners.
Yeah, what's considered bad manners.
Exactly. Then what are we overlooking? And I found on the interweb a lot of great content about bad manners.
Oh, I'm sure there's a diatribe of conversations having to do with bad manners.
Oh, yeah. So I just picked out, I don't know, about a dozen or so, because I mean, you could go on for days with could irritate people or what's not proper. So let's start off with, and I know for a fact everyone has seen this, and I see it all the time. An example of a bad manner, and I love it, especially in the last 10, 15 years. Cell phone conversations in public.
So, a little quick story. On college campus, cell phones were not quite... No smartphones. Cell phones were not as ubiquitous as they are now. However, I was walking behind this girl. We were going to class, and she was just talking to her friend, and the conversation shifted, and I was like, I shouldn't be hearing this conversation. She was talking about activities that she was doing the night before, and I'm just like, man, I don't really want to hear this. Yeah, no, I've been there. I have been there with some naughty conversations.
I had a great example. So I'm in my truck, and yeah, I'm on my cell phone. I'm talking to my wife, and I have my window down, because I always have my window down. It's just something I do. And we're stopped at a stoplight, and there's a car next to me, and they have their window down. And once I read this cell phone conversation in public, I mean, it dawned on me like a light bulb. Here I am, I'm holding an open conversation with my wife. We're talking about my children. We're talking about the storm that's coming this weekend. Mm-hmm. And boom, the people next to me are listening.
Yes, they are.
I told my wife, I said, hold on. I roll up the window because I don't want them to hear my conversation. I mean, they could tell they were legitimately involved in my conversation, and I did not want that to be in there. Yeah. And I thought to myself, ooh, I just got caught having bad manners.
And people don't, I think we get that tunnel vision. We're zeroed in on what we are doing and not seeing anything else around us, especially when we get on the phone. I think it gets even tighter because we're mentally attached to the person on the other end. It used to be we'd sit around, we would wait for that phone to ring.
That's right.
We would be thrilled because we're going to talk to somebody in our family that we don't get to talk to very often. It was timed, man. Dad or grandpa or whoever it was you were with was looking at that clock and going,
right.
Every minute costs.
Yep,
and
long distance.
And so we sat down, and we'd have the conversation. They'd ask you the set amount of questions, and you didn't linger on. There was no goofing around. You got that crap done. It was a conversation. It was informative. It was great because you were connecting, but private because it only stayed in one location.
That's right. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. And I caught myself doing it. The next one, and I'm sure if anybody's on Facebook, Snapshot, Snapchat, Snapchitty, whatever it's called, Twitter's, I don't know all the other ones, David, I apologize.
It's all right, man.
Excessive virtual socializing.
Yeah.
Something about on Facebook, and every 5 minutes you're posting something.
Oh, I know people at work that are like that. Well, at least they used to be like that. I don't know if they're like that now, but yeah. Living their life vicariously through somebody else or posting their curated life on the internet, because that's what it is. Don't let anybody ever be fooled. It's curated. You only show people what you want them to see. And so that's all that's seen.
The old interweb.
Hello. Come on now.
I love this one. My kids will do this one. I have to tell them to bring them back. Crowding the person in front of you at the checkout line.
Get out my ass, man.
Isn't that a fact?
Get out of my butt. I'm standing here. This is my space. I've got my 3-foot circle. Leave me alone. Don't crowd it. Everybody's, hey, it's even worse is when they're behind you and they're on their phone.
There's that conversation thing again.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's like a 2 strikes. All right. Dressing inappropriately. This, I'm sure we've all seen it, and I'm not talking about the hardworking guy who just got off of work and is in the grocery store and he's just trying to get some food for the night. I'm talking when you're dropping your kids off and you're in your pajamas still.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, you might be in your car. That's okay. I'm talking about you are in your pajamas walking your children into the school.
That's a little weird.
Yes.
That's a little weird. We're not going to sleep over.
That's right.
So,
let's see here. Let's figure out another one that would be dressing inappropriately. I'm thinking of something like maybe you're at a funeral and you're wearing shorts.
Sadly enough, I ended up at a funeral. Well, it wasn't a funeral, it was a memorial. And I didn't know I was going to it. I didn't realize it was that day. And then I ended up there. And I was wearing a shorts and a t-shirt, and I felt terrible. I felt out of place. I felt inappropriate, and I had bad manners.
And some people might say, but David, you were there to show respect and be there for the family, even though you might not have the fancy clothes.
That's very true. Unfortunately, in that kind of situation, regardless of your intentions, the way you're addressed is most of what you're showing with your respect. Because what you're feeling, you're there, but people in a distraught situation aren't going to be listening. They're going to be seen. So
it's very true.
That's all I can say on that one.
How about maybe you're at Chuck E. Cheese and you're wearing a shirt that has explicit language on it?
Yeah, that's definitely inappropriate.
I've seen that. It's kind of funny. For the adults, it is.
It is funny. Now, I have what I would call a terrible time with this. Low-cut shirts for women, they're so distracting. I don't want to look. I'm like, I'm looking at your eyes. I'm looking at your eyes. That's where I need to look. But I'm a man, and there's that primal part of me that just wants to look. So wearing that when it's not appropriate, like if you wore that to a funeral, not appropriate.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be wearing a low-cut shirt.
You should be like up here. Just saying.
Should I wear
turtleneck?
Should I try wearing a low-cut shirt at the baseball game?
Only if you want to show the chest hair, right?
I would say that's borderline inappropriate.
I would say it was too, especially with children.
Please, in the comments, let me know what you guys think is inappropriate wear when you're out in public? I would love to hear it. I'm sure there's some really cool stories. The next one would be this ain't bad manners. This is upright disrespectful. Being unkind to disabled people or casting off the elderly. That's just plain wrong.
It is wrong. And there are so many people that take advantage of the disabled and the elderly.
That's terrible.
And they are, especially, I'm going to talk about the elderly here for a second. They are the bridge and the building blocks and the foundation of what made us where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
You should treat them with the utmost respect. You should ask them how they're doing. You should be able and willing to sit down and have a decent conversation with somebody like that, because, I mean, they have lived your life and you may never know it. Don't treat them poorly.
I could not agree with you anymore with that, David.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This one we see most frequently, and I don't know how to bring this one up because I don't want to be disrespectful, because parents with children, it's hard to watch children when you're in grocery stores. But this one, letting children misbehave. And when I say letting children misbehave, I am not talking about you got your kid and she or he are crying on your shoulders and you're bolting out the door because you know you're just trying to calm and not the whole world wants to hear it. I'm talking about you're in a grocery store and your child is taking all the stuff off the shelves, or touching every button known to man.
Touching all the buttons, touching all the food, wiping the nose, touching the food. I mean, I have gotten after my own children for doing those things in the grocery store, and my children know now when they're with me, man, I'm going. If they're going to jack around and start doing stuff, I'm just going to walk away, and they better keep up because I'm gone. So some people may be like, well, you're a bad father. You shouldn't walk away from them. Hey, you know it's the right thing to do. They should have just that little bit of fear to do the right thing and the knowledge that doing the right thing is the best thing.
I had a similar situation. I was visiting some friends in Texas. We were at a hotel. They were having a convention. I think it was like a polka convention. So, I mean, there was a lot of music going around. People were dancing. But let's just say the lobby was very full. And my kids, our friends have kids that are about the same age. They started to act like, crazy kids and started running around.
Whirling dervishes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I'm holding the conversation, trying to figure out what we're going to do next, because we can't quite check in yet. We can't quite go get breakfast. It's still in the lunch period. We got a couple hours here. And so my son, decides to run into somebody because he's running.
Oh.
And so now I'm embarrassed because here's my kid running around.
You're distracting. You're irritated because you're distracted and embarrassed.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
So I had, indirectly bad behavior because my kid is over here running around like a loose cannon with his head cut off.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get what it's like. It's like you've been pulling that spring tighter and tighter and tighter, and then you go wham, and they just go ballistic. And they're not getting attention. I don't know what it is. My son does the same thing. He has his own reasons for that. But my daughter, I mean, it's like they'll just get crazy.
Exactly. So, of course, I draw him back and I apologize to the gentleman. Yeah. Of course, he was irritated, which, quite honest, I would be too if some kid ran into me acting like a hooligan and I'm over here, trying to do whatever I'm doing. So long story short, indirectly, I was not taking care of what I should have been doing. My child was misbehaving, but I would like to think I took care of the situation. I apologized for my actions and my son's actions.
Yes. It's the acknowledgement and the apology. Acknowledgement, which a lot of parents don't do. Acknowledge that your kids are being little stinkers.
Exactly.
And then apologize for it. It's okay. It just needs an apology and a respectful, you know what I'm saying.
Exactly. I got a couple more here, and then I want you to talk about some bad habits you found there, David.
Right.
The next one would be exhibiting terrible table manners while dining out. A couple of common ones everyone's probably familiar with. I know everyone's seen me do the whole elbows on the table. And then the next one, bad chewing. Have anybody ever sat next to somebody? Yes, that's the sound, David. Perfect. Yes. Oh, I can't stand that.
Yeah, I can't either.
So the next one, not taking the time to show gratitude or ignoring gestures, thank you notes, saying thank you when someone opens the door for you. Just those common, nice pleasantries.
The thank you notes is one I wish I was better with. I try. Do or do not. There is no try. I try. I should do and do better at it if it bothers me that much. So.
And the last one I want to talk about, and I've been a victim of this before, and I apologize to anybody that's heard it. Letting foul language fly in public. I remember once I hit my head so hard, I think my brain moved, and I said the F word. Boom. Bleep.
Where were you?
Where was? You know where? I'll tell you where I was. I was at a swimming pool.
How old were you?
Oh man, I must have been like 16 years old. Yeah, even worse.
It was like a Christmas story.
It was like boy. Everyone turned around and looked at me with a slant eye, just slant-eyed at me, just looking at me, beelined. I was like, and I'm over here shaking my head because I hit my head hard. I don't know what I was doing. I was being an idiot. Let's be honest.
Jacking around in the pool.
Exactly.
Yep.
And, oh man. So yeah, I'm a victim of that. I'm sure you're not. You're pretty proper.
Well, there was that meeting, that HOA meeting. One of the few times I proved my point. I rarely lose my cool, but when I get upset, it kind of comes out, and I dropped the F-bomb.
So nice. So please tell me some more bad manners that you see. Something I didn't mention here. I would love to. There's tons of them. So let us know in the comment section. But that leads us into the next one: bad habits.
Bad habits. Staring. So when I talked about earlier, it's like don't wear the low cut shirt. I can't stare. I gotta look above the collarbone. So staring. Kids, stare.
It's easy to do at the mall. Like people watch. You just gotta stare.
That's a great place to stare.
It's a great place to stare.
All right, man. Talking too loud.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've heard this one before.
Do you ever talk too loud, Kent?
Yeah, I've occasionally been known to talk too loud.
I get, my wife always says I talk too loud. Of course, I think everybody talks too loud for her. So
my son is getting more confident, so he's been talking really loud. We were having to tell him, bring it down a couple notches, buddy.
I had a coworker, the loudest person. He would whisper, and it was like he was screaming at you. That's the way it felt. He was a very loud person. Let's see here. Interrupting in conversation. Interrupting.
That would be a bad habit.
Children, terrible at it.
Oh, yeah.
So, not tipping. Tell me what you think, man.
Okay, my wife used to be a waitress. I was a terrible tipper before I met her. Yeah, I was like, buck or two, give me a break. And then I met Liz. She was a waitress. So we go out to dinner. She's like, how much you tipping? I said, I don't know. I was like, $5. She's like, they ain't flying. So now, I'm definitely like a 25%er. So if if I have $100 bill, you're getting about $30.
Dude.
And it's regardless if you give me bad or good service, because I'm going to get the knee in the shin or the foot in the shin if I'm not doing it.
Well,
which, respectfully.
And maybe we need to look up tipping and what, the history of it.
Sure.
I think that'd be kind of fascinating to look it up. But interestingly enough, that's cultural. So in Japan, you do not tip. because it's considered an insult if you tip, because the service is expected. And the service, the quality of their service, is part of what you are paying for.
I'm going to be honest with you. When I was in high school, I worked at a grocery store, and I was the bagger, and I would take their groceries to people's cars. And I made more money in tips doing that than I did my hourly wage.
Did you get minimum wage at that time?
Yeah, I think it was like, I was just going to, I think it was like $6.50. I don't know.
That was above.
That was, I say, it might have been $5.50. I'd have to go find a pay stub.
Yeah, that was above minimum wage if you were getting $6, man. But yeah, it's a great deal.
It's a great deal. So a guy like me relied on that. Yeah. I made me hustle because I wanted those tips. Now, I didn't get them out from everybody, but I figured the numbers were for me. The more people I bagged, the greater chances of me getting more tips.
Did you expect to be tipped when you started working?
When I started working at the grocery store? No, that was kind of like a bonus. And so when I moved here to Kansas and I was go to the grocery store, I remember getting tips. So I tried to tip the guy that was taking my groceries out, and they won't accept it here.
Yeah. Yeah, that again, Japan, they would not accept a tip. They'd consider it an insult. So it's very cultural, it's regional. It's really interesting. Tell us, wherever you're at,
yes,
do you tip? What's expected in a tip? What percentage? And what do you personally tip?
Love to hear it. Definitely.
Mine's anywhere between 10 and 15. Someone's got to do excellent service. And when I mean excellent, it's talking to the kids, helping out, recognizing that there's, if we're talking, you don't stand there and stare at us. Those kind of social cues, if they're hitting all those buttons, man, they're going to get that 20%.
Nice.
So I'm a little stingy with my tipping. It's got to be great service. So, all right. Let's see here. Talking with a mouth full of food.
Oh. Yeah, and it's like spitting out. Yeah, that's a no-no.
What kind of food? Seafood. There you go, man. Elbows on the table.
There we go again.
Like that. That's a manners and a habit.
That is.
So let's see here. Popping gum. You're talking about chewing gum and making bubbles and popping it, right?
Yep. We're not talking like on the ball field either. We're talking in a movie theater.
Yeah. If you're in a movie theater, your phone should be off. Every digital device on your body should be off. You shouldn't be chewing gum. You should be watching that movie because everybody else paid just like you did.
That's right.
Anyways, inappropriate comments. Would this be like catcalling or?
Yeah, that would be a good way.
You don't hear much about catcalling.
No, but I tried a catcall once. Folks, yes, I was that guy with cocky, arrogant. I just graduated high school.
Okay, I
just graduated high school. I got my truck, right? I'm living in Houston, Texas. I got a loud exhaust on this thing, right? I got the Texas duals. Oh, yay, Daddy, Kenty, happy. And so, I see this pretty girl, right? She's fly, right? I don't know if that's even cool to say anymore. So I rev my motor, rum, right? I'm like, yeah, what do you think? Okay, so speed up about 2 hours later, and I see this girl talking to someone I know, right?
Same girl?
Yeah. So I go up to that guy. I go, hey, go put a good word in for me with that girl, right? So he tries to go put a good word in for me, and he comes back and shakes his head, and he goes, yeah, she remembers you. You must have revved your motor or did something stupid in front of her because she wants nothing to do with you, dude. So that would be.
That's funny.
That's a form of fashion of a cat call. The cat call is like the whistling or the clapping or something. But I tried the engine revving. No, then that does not fly.
Didn't fly with her, huh?
No.
Chronic cell phone use.
We all know someone that's on the phone all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it might not be business. It could be just they're with their friends all the time.
My favorite is this. It's Thanksgiving. You're with family.
The whole family is on it. I've seen this before, like Christmas, at funerals, we're all sitting at couches, and I mean, we're all on our phones. It's like, what did we do 10 years ago?
We talk to people like human beings.
Exactly. I was blown away, and I have to admit, I was on mine too.
Oh yeah,
I was guilty of it.
It's easy to escape into that Facebook posting and snappity chatting,
playing games,
twittering,
and
whatever other fabulous things that they do. Invading personal space.
Oh yeah, the 3-foot rule.
Is yours 3 foot or is it a little bigger?
I would love to have a 10-foot rule.
Sarcasm and insults.
Oh, that's like every day now. Even in the movies and television, it's like a common pleasantry.
Well, it's like it's comedy now.
Yeah.
It's not always funny.
It's not always
funny. It's not funny.
No. Please post if you like the insults and comments on everything you do.
It's interesting that there's kind of this correlation as many of the bad manners are bad habits for some people and vice versa.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting there. Poor hygiene, gross actions in public.
Clipping fingernails, picking your nose.
Picking the nose, scratching your rear.
Private parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I've seen it.
I've seen that all. Taking food off of someone else's plate. Do you do that, Kent?
Yeah, my family.
To your family, or they do it to you?
No, they know better. Dude, I'm a speed eater, man.
You are like competitive speed eater.
Competitive speed eater. If there was a trophy, I'd win first. So they don't have a chance to get my food. But theirs, if I'm still hungry and they're just jacking around, yep. But no, I won't do it to like my dad or something.
So here's the question. If you had a 4-inch by 4-inch brownie, how many bites would that be?
Dude, that's one. Dude, it tastes so good. The one big bite, it just like it hits all the taste buds. I've trained myself.
Cutting in line.
Oh, this is terrible. Have you ever seen it? Audience, have you ever dropped your kids off at school and someone's just delayed reaction with the gas pedal and you just see someone just jump right in? Oh, I've seen this so many times.
Yeah, school drop off and pick up. Oh, they've cut all the dang time. Mary talks about it. I've only had it happen like once, and it irked me. It irked me a lot. It's like I've been waiting here, waiting in here, and waiting. You have no right. And we actually talked about this in our crab legs episode.
That's right.
Yeah, we did a little role play on cutting in line
on the crab
there
legs.
You go back and listen to it. I think it's episode 2.
Episode 2, we talked about pleasantries.
That's right. Yeah, littering.
Dude, that's just flat out wrong.
It is wrong. We were talking about, it's not littering per se, but we were talking about the excessive amounts of plastic and containers, and we're just a family of 4, and you're a family of 4, and we're consuming food and buying things, and you end up with boxes, you end up with packaging, you end up with plastic bags to take your meals to lunch, and all this other. It's just something wrong about that. I don't know what the answer is. If you've got an answer, solve the world's problems.
Please
get out there and take care of it. Inappropriate attire.
Yeah, this goes back to that bad manners one, what you're dressing, shirts.
Yeah,
pants, pajamas.
Inappropriate gestures.
Middle finger?
One
finger salutes?
The one finger salute. And in other parts of the world, it's various different hand gestures. I know sign language for a couple inappropriate gestures I won't share here, but tell us about your inappropriate gesture in your foreign country or wherever you're from. We'd love to hear about it. Language at people and their misfortune.
You know what? That's kind of like laughing at somebody when they fell on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
We've all seen those videos on Facebook or YouTube. Guys just doing, skateboarding.
It makes me cringe most of the time, and then I want to go help them. But I have to admit, sometimes I am a terrible human being and I laugh at those too. So,
Man. I don't know what to say. All I know is I can tell you once someone laughed at me. It was when I was like 20 years old and I was carrying a ladder. I was working for the cable company and I slipped on the ice. I mean, literally with the ladder. And
dang.
dude, I fell, straight on my ass. I mean, excuse my language. Oh, it hurt so bad. I just laid there literally for 2 minutes. And the dude just kept laughing at me, right? Oh, that's so funny. And I'm just kind of laying there in a daze going, dude, that just knocked the wind out of me. So that I was kind of PO'd about that. And that would be a very good example of someone laughing at someone's misfortune.
Bad habits, it's bad manners. There's a lot of overlap. It's pretty interesting. I didn't ever think about them having this much kind of interconnectedness.
Right?
But a lot of the people who do these bad manners, it's the bad habits.
Exactly. So I thought it was fun when I ran this list.
Yeah, I like this.
It was good stuff. But anyways, hey, David, I think that's it, man.
It is.
I think our next episode will be WTF. Stand in, hang on for the next week's episode. It's going to be a doozy.
Number 3 coming up at you. If you haven't watched number 1, it's pleasantries.
Right.
And here you go. Thank you for watching or listening. We're the Dudes in Kansas show. You can find us on YouTube, Podbean, iTunes podcasts, Google Play Podcasts. Like us, subscribe, turn on that bell, and be notified when new episodes come up. And have a great and wonderful week. Thank you.
Thank you.